Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my video, Libra July 2020 Must Knows. This month we've got the ending of the Venus and Mercury retrograde storyline. We've got the ending of the Cancer Capricorn storyline. We've got more information coming in from the beginning of the Gemini Sagittarius eclipse cycle. And we've got at the very beginning of Mars retrograde starting at the end of the month. So we're going to talk about all of this, what it could mean for Libras, and let's just get right going into the charts. So assume that everything I'm talking about is going to be true for all Libras unless I otherwise divvy it out into early, middle, or late. Okay, so the first thing to know about this month is that we have a lot of emotion. Emotion is something energetically that conflicts with the mental space, right? Libra energy really dwells in this intellectual space and the connections, the verbal connections, the ideas. And then once this high emotion comes into it, that's at a 30-degree angle. 1, 2, 3. See, it's 3 signs away. 30-degree angle, that's a challenging angle. So there's going to be a swarm of emotion, yours and other people, that affects you, for better and worse. You know, this doesn't have to be bad emotion. Sometimes it could be such good emotion that it overwhelms you, and that can be how it's in conflict. But June and July is just full of this Cancer energy between the eclipse and between Cancer Mercury retrograde and then the sun moving here, and you can see we've got just a lot going on. But throughout the month of July, as the month progresses, the sun gets into Leo, super favorable spot for Libra. Mercury is going to be following soon, a little bit into August. That's super favorable for Libra. Like I said, this Sagittarius Gemini eclipse cycle is at another favorable angle for Libra. So, you've got a little bit more work to do here with the emotional things, the closing of the chapters, the saying goodbye, the transitioning to a new way of life, and opening up to these new promising things that are coming for you. I see a lot of awkwardness just in the change, but a lot of the changes could actually already be really positive. It's just, humans saying goodbye to things, sometimes those things don't mix very well. And, so it could be bittersweet emotion that's happening. We can see there's a huge focus on the 10th house, and the 10th house is for career and work and authority figures and bosses and fathers and father figures. Okay, so Libras are having this from the perspective of the house placement here, and this is going to be true for all early, middle, and late degree placements. It's just going to be staggered in time. So let's just check this out here. So early degree Libras are basically the September born or 0 to 9 degrees, and remember that my videos are also for Libra moon and Libra rising. I always recommend that you watch at least your rising sign and your sun sign. And you can find out your rising sign by running a free birth chart online if you know your birth time. If you don't know your birth time, you're not going to be able to find your rising sign. Okay, so middle degree is around October 1st through 10th or 10 to 19 degrees, and late degree Libra around October 11th through the rest of the sign or 20 to 29 degrees. All right, so those of you that are in this middle and late degree spectrum, you don't start out the month with this full 10th house, okay? So see how this 10th house is full here. Middle degree, see how all those placements that were in the 10th house for early, they haven't moved there yet for you. And then the same with late degree. You still have this full 9th house. We'll talk about what that means, but I just want you to see here that the planets that we're talking about, specifically these two, the sun and Mercury, they're going to be moving from the 9th house to the 10th house over the course of the month of July. So that's why I'm saying this is true for everybody, but there is a staggering effect. And those of you towards the end of the sign, it might take a little longer for some of the energies to really show up there very strongly. Okay, so we've got for Libra, regardless of what part of the month it's showing up, 10th house focus. Then you've got the 13-degree Capricorn eclipse, and Capricorn rules the 10th house. Okay, so major changes in work are likely ahead if they have not already showed up. A lot of times eclipse news comes 4 to 6 weeks or more before the actual eclipse. So you can be very well versed in what's happening here by the time this actually happens. And of course, I always post these 4 to 6 weeks early as well. All right, so expect high emotion in the workplace, high emotion involving things with father figures and bosses, high emotion involving figuring out career crossroads and figuring out like what you're here to do and getting on track with your purpose. For those of you who are retired or who work isn't an issue, this 10th house can still represent your work out in the world, the things that where you're showing your gifts and helping people with your gifts, or just like the way you're interfacing with the rest of the world and doing what feels like your purpose can show up here as well. And all of these things can also come up for any of you who have your work. Like, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing with your work? You know, are you on your path? These are the types of questions that are going to come up, and there might be a lot of emotion around them. Now, for the middle and late degree placements, this grouping of emotional energy is very much in the 9th house. So high emotion for these October-born Libras in the house of teaching, learning, education, churches, spiritual studies, high emotion with the energy of international travel or, you know, immigration or anything having to do with moving from a country to a different country, or spouses or other relatives being in these different countries, or people being stuck in different countries because of stuff going on with quarantine and all of that. So the 9th house also has to do with different countries and different languages through a virtual energetic connection. So learning a language, or, you know, in your home, or talking to somebody across the world and doing work with them from your home, even, you know, through some virtual connection. So there's a lot of emotion, for better or worse, especially for you October-born Libras, in that area. And there are some conflictive transits that might show some bumps in the road. But remember what I said about the heavy emotion. Now, for a lot of you, this emotion is going to start dissipating as the month goes on, because even though we've got this web of, you know, of emotional energy bringing focus on home and family and housing and real estate, expect to see the topics of home and family and housing and real estate and selling real estate and buying real estate. And by the way, this is a good time for all of that. Like, once we get towards the end of July, contracts, you know, making decisions about sales, big decisions of any kind, moves are very well indicated. And I especially like the dates of July 22nd through the 28th. This is a magical time, okay? Around the 20th, it starts like opening up because the new moon in Cancer, the second new moon in Cancer happens then. But once we get like to the 22nd to the 28th, there's this open window that is almost completely free of the Mercury and Venus retrogrades. And the Mars retrograde that starts in September starts its shadow period, but it's not strong enough yet to matter, okay? So you've got this little bubbling up of energy in this time with sweet aspects unencumbered by salty aspects. There's about the same amount of sweet aspects versus salty aspects this month, but you've got this kind of free time in here where there's enough of the web of this retrograde energy, where there's clarity, you know, there's direction, there's, you know, where you can organize and plan some things more. All of that bubbles up, and you can see more clearly and interact with people more clearly, and the emotion is starting to, you know, dissipate, and so it's just kind of opens up into a completely different astrological situation, especially for Libras, like we talked about. So anything important you have to do, elective surgeries, beauty treatments, getting your hair cut. Mars rules metal, so Mars retrograde is similar to Venus retrograde, where we want to avoid new things involving scissors, you know, haircuts, and for different reasons. But so if you have beauty treatments and things that you wanted to do, big purchases, that period of time between the 22nd and the 28th of July is pretty clear, more clear than you're going to get for a while, okay? Because August is the same as July prior to this, you know, around the 22nd, which is sweet aspect, salty aspect, sweet aspect, salty aspect. So you don't really have a free time that doesn't have a little of both. And August is going to be the same way, where it's like as soon as you have a sweet aspect, it's like, here's a challenging one right next to it. So use that window as much as possible, because Mars retrograde can make a lot of people really lazy and unambitious and bring a stop to certain forward-moving energies. And so since we've already had a lot of that because of the previous retrogrades, you want to use this period of time as much as possible. All right, so now some other things that we've got going on. Again, I'm going to use this early chart, but we're talking about all Libra placements. We've got Mars in Aries, and this is a sign that's opposing your sign. And this is very important to note because Mars is going to be in Aries until January of 2021, because it's moving through Aries, which is the sign it rules, and it is happy in the sign it rules, so that's good for everybody. But when it goes through Aries, it's going to go retrograde and then have to move all the way back through Aries. That's why it's going to be there for so long. What that means for Libra is that you're going to have oppositions of Mars for your placements for this time. All right. So this brings this storyline of me versus we into the front and center. So, a lot of breakups, divorce proceedings, separations, conflicts are going to come up and are going to be worked with. Something really important to know is that, similar to Venus retrograde with certain lawsuits, trying to file lawsuits when Mars is in retrograde is, especially if you're like going to sue somebody, if you're like if you're the plaintiff and not the defendant, like if you're the one that's instigating it, sometimes it comes with challenges here. Okay, so if you have to file proceedings against somebody, that window, again, from like the 22nd through the 28th for instigating it. Now, we know how court cases go, different steps are taken and things evolve over time, but the actual instigation of it, there's more of an open window in that period of time of the 22nd through the 28th. So at the same time, conflicts that were happening can get ameliorated. Disagreements can get softened and worked out. Problems between parties can have solutions come over this time. But there is going to be this very strong focus from now through the beginning of 2021 of navigating your individual energy versus other people's energy. And this comes up a lot just because of the nature of Libra and, the issues of codependency and trying to tell the difference between yourself and other people and the people pleasing and all the stuff that tends to come up for you. But it's going to take a very extra strong focus. And we've been talking about this. This has been current too, because Juno, being in Libra, has been bringing up this partner energy in a big way. Now we've got Mars here opposing it. And also Chiron, the wounded healer, bringing up those wounds, right? So Libra, it's time for you to heal these wounds. The more you can really heal them and not just busy your way out of them or talk your way out of them, the more the universe doesn't have to keep bringing them up to you. So like psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, past life regression, The Presence Process by Michael Brown, all my favorite inner workbooks are really called for you now, because you have such an opportunity to burn off personal relationship karma. And so hopefully you'll use it, because it's really showing up for you in a big way. Now, that all being said, you can reach those agreements, you can find the solutions, and you can transcend the issues. But it's going to take some work, and it's going to take some focus and energy. Okay, so, but in general, Mars is still in a fire sign. And a fire sign is in harmony with an air sign. So even with its conflictive nature, it still has a way of feeding each other. But that's what we want to break, is that cycle of feeding into a destructive relationship is the cycle that you want to break. And you want to feed, use this energy to feed those fulfilling interdependent relationships. Okay. So something else we've got that's great is Venus is still in Gemini because of that retrograde thing. Now it's, going direct at the end of June, and then it still has to move all the way through Gemini. So you have more kisses. What nice one, those are lips from our little smooches. So you've got Venus, the ruler of love, beauty, and money and design, giving your sign kisses. And so again, anything you've got to do with money or love or beauty or design projects, you're going to have extra special boosts in this window, especially from the 22nd through the 28th of July. But in that time, towards the end of July, the beginning of August, as Venus is doing this smooching and the stars are still pretty clear, you can make some forward movement on these things that might have been stalled out. All right, and certainly if you're in the retrograde now and you've got to plan a beauty treatment or plan seeing an architect to design your house or something like that, you can do your research now, in May, June, July, and then set your appointments for your treatments or your, having people help you with these various things at the end of July, so you can be doing work on it and then you can just set it for when the stars are better here. But hopefully that will be nice for you, because despite all this water, we do have, two of the personal planets moving through signs that are in harmony in general with your sign, or at least in elements that are in harmony with your sign. So that's very promising. All right, so let's see. The last thing I wanted to talk about has to do with that 13-degree Capricorn eclipse. Okay, so we talked about the June 5th eclipse in the May report. I showed you exactly where that would be for Libra. I talked about the second June eclipse in the June report, and now we've got the third eclipse, 13 degrees Capricorn lunar eclipse, and that's like July 4th or 5th, depending on your time zone. And that's going to happen for Libras. Okay, so early degree Libras, it's going to be the 4th house. Talk about what this means. Middle degree, as usual, you're on the line here between the 3rd and 4th house, so it could be either or both. Late degree, that's going to be in the 3rd for you. Okay, so I'll just give you a couple of pieces about what this could look like, and I'll direct you to some very in-depth resources. Some very in-depth resources that I put together for you. Okay, so early and middle 4th house, middle and late 3rd house, and all Libra and really all signs 10th house or Capricorn. Okay, so we talked about big things with home, real estate, housing, all of that coming from the Cancer placements and the prior Cancer eclipse. Then we've got work being highlighted through the cluster of energy in the 10th house, plus this work, career, all of that. Look for my video called Eclipses in Capricorn. Okay, now you can just search for Annie Botticelli Eclipses in Capricorn, or you can go to my homepage on YouTube, scroll all the way to the bottom to find my eclipse series, and you'll see this video. This eclipse series videos that I put together includes all of the things that I have seen for each of the placements of the houses and the signs of how these things can manifest. And now I'm using this time to direct you to which one is relevant for you. All right. So for the early and middle degree placements, look for my video, Eclipses in Cancer or 4th house. So basically that's big changes with the home and the housing and the real estate and all of that. Okay, so we talked about how the Cancer energies are profound because the planets are in the sign of Cancer. But what we're also talking about is the eclipse is in the house of Cancer, the 4th house. You see, so you're getting it from two different ends. That's why it's going to be extra focus. Buying of houses, selling of houses, division of houses, division of homes, new entrance to your homes, people moving in, people moving out, big things happening with family, milestones for children, things happening with parents, mothers, mothering, all of that stuff. Very big. Inner world, ancestry, your childhood psychology, patterns that you've had from your child, from your childhood programming that are making themselves manifest as an adult. All of that is really here. And I give ideas of how you can manage and work with these energies in those other videos, this Eclipse in Cancer video. So the middle and late degree placements, you will also have energies in Gemini, basically. So look for my video, Eclipses in Gemini or 3rd house. And this has to do with big changes, big notable events, lots of boom, basically. When we have eclipses, it's also like boom, okay? So early and middle's got the boom in the housing and the family, right? Everyone's got the booming in the career and work. And then middle and late degree placements, you've got the boom in communication, the devices for communication, mobility, cars, boats, walking, bikes, everything like that, and your physical mobility levels. Also, relatives that are not your parents or kids, they're in this other area, like cousins, aunts, uncles, brothers, and sisters. So notable things involving them, relationships, things, if they're talking about something important, this is a good time for that, especially towards the end of the month, to try to if they come to you with something, then you can use this time at the end of the month to try to do something with what they come to you, for better or worse. Be especially careful when you're driving, please, okay? I have had people tell me that me telling them this has saved their lives, so I am taking the time to tell you this. When I had eclipses in the 3rd house, and I really don't have trouble with my car in general, but when this was happening, I had 3 things happen. And a lot of times people that have this saying things happen in threes. Sometimes transits pass over places 3 times, and eclipse energy carries 3 times the energy of a normal moon. All right, so lunar eclipses carry 3 times the energy of a full moon. So they're more emotional than a regular full moon. They're 3 times as emotional as a regular full moon and 3 times as profound in their manifestation capacity. So I had 3 incidences happen. One was I went to roll my window down and the glass shattered. It was tinted, so it like stayed within the tint, but still it was weird, and it happened, and it was this like boom, right? I had a snowy bow crush my windshield. It fell on my car where it was parked. And then I had someone rear end me while at a light because they fell asleep, and they had good reasons for it. It was someone I knew. It's a long story. And everyone was okay. But my car was in the shop for like a month, and all of this happened at this time. So you have to be extra careful when driving, don't text and drive. People shouldn't be doing that anyway. But this particular person I'm thinking of that wrote to me most recently said, I was texting and walking, your words came into my head, I stopped short, and then a car went right in front of me and would have run me over if I didn't stop. Okay, so like the awareness of your physical body while you're being mobile should actually happen anyway. You know, like honestly, I don't believe that people should be texting and walking and on their bikes and texting anyway, right? This is just not good practices. But the times where people are less likely to get away with doing the things that they usually do anyway could be this type of energy. So it might be a good time to clean up some of those habits. You don't have to be afraid that something's going to happen. The odds are that it won't. But because I've seen it go this way, I just wanted to alert you to it. Okay, and then you can look at this eclipses in Gemini video, people dropping their phones in the toilet, spilling coffee on their computer, you know, that's all more likely. So like insurance policies or extra precaution with things like that. Okay, so if you would like to have more information for this month, you can get a write-up. I write up all the aspects, all the dates of note, the sweet dates, the salty dates, the general write-up of what you can expect, delivered to your inbox 1 month early when you sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. You can also see lots of blogs on that site on various topics, including astrology and especially astrology. You can get, also when you sign up for my free email newsletter, you get Shine, my virtual 28-day virtual coaching program for free. So you can find written horoscopes by me 1 month early at cozybysweetstarlight.com. All of these links are also in the notes underneath the video, so you just click on the More button underneath the video to see them. And there's also other blogs there, and it's a beautiful site. You will love it. I take a lot of time to pick out the pictures, and the articles or the blogs are really informative, and a lot of them have a tilt towards astrology related things. And then you can go to my school. I have lots of free courses. I also have paid courses, including Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery course. So if you resonate with how I teach and you want to learn, either become a professional astrologer or just to help your friends and your family and because you love astrology, it's self-paced study where you have access for questions, and it's very comprehensive, very, very comprehensive and very well organized. So you can see that at lumelife.com. That's the school, Luminous Life Multiversity, Lume, Lume, life.com. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.